the portfolio committee had asked me to explain myself and elaborate on the utterances that I made when I appeared before the TV camera on the 27th of January in 2025. Honorable Chair, perhaps let me start when I responded to the engagement with the journalist at the time. I cited the smear campaigns that are going around trying to tarnish my name to some degree, being reminded of what transpired back then in 2011, 2012, when I was the acting national commissioner. And I felt that there's similarities in terms of what is happening now and what is happened back then. Honorable Conor Barnard will remember very well that crime intelligence were on the news almost on a weekly basis. And that, Honorable Chair, has been a strategy that has been deployed by police officers that are facing a difficult time in the organization as far as investigations against them. The modus operandi is for them to go to the media and make themselves look good, and certainly so, they even approach some of the honorable members and they use them to be their mouthpiece and justify their evil deeds. Honorable Chair, in let me take you back into what transpired in this current period. In 2024, on the 29th of October, to be precise, I received a phone call, Chair, a phone call and a message that came from a gentleman who said to me he's a close associate of the Minister of Police, and that is Mr. Brown. He referred to himself as Mr. Brown Mkhwanazi. This Mr. Brown Mkhwanazi, who had described himself as a close associate to the Minister of Police, indicated to me, which made me believe that he's a close associate of the Minister of Police, because he said to me he was joining the Minister of Police to visit the Lusikisiki massacre that had happened last year. And because I did not trust him, I called the Chief of Staff to try and establish who is this gentleman. And the Chief of Staff did confirm to me that indeed he is a very person close to the Minister of Police. But what surprised me about this gentleman is that he then indicated to me on a message that he sent me when he said there's an internal attempt to discredit me through the defeating the end of justice case. And as we engage, and I asked him, what is he talking about? He then he sent me a report that was written by the member who, well, not signed, but a report that was written by a Lieutenant Colonel Matthews, who was working under Operational Valomgodi, who was an operational commander at the time. And unfortunately, the report that he sent to me, a letter which I have here before me, was not signed, Honorable Chair and members. He sent me this report, and subsequent to that, he then forwarded the copies of the OP entries that were made at Impangeni police station, where there were indications that I personally stopped the arrest of one senior officer from the correctional service. So that's how the whole thing started. So when he sent me these things, subsequent to that, Chair, before I could even respond to that, the next thing that he had asked me was how well do I know the Divisional Commission of Crime Intelligence? Because it indicates that the Divisional Commission of Crime Intelligence had made a presentation of which he attached a copy of the screen, a presentation the crime intelligence was making, which obviously is either he was part of the presentation where crime intelligence were presenting the divisional policies, which is dated 2024-2025 on the screen. That's how it was highlighted here. The presentation was made on the 30th of September 2024. He gave me that screenshot. If he was not part of that meeting, surely someone who was at that meeting was feeding him with this information. So he sent me the screenshot and he says to me, General Khumalo, the Divisional Commissioner of Crime Intelligence, I must check my standing with him. And because he said yesterday he pushed a negative narrative about me on how the cash in transits are happening in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, and the fact that I don't want to listen to the advices of crime intelligence when they are giving me early warnings and so forth. And he cited a retired Major General Chika to be amongst the people that were unhappy about my response into their warnings about crime intelligence. So that's a communication that he brought to me. And when I asked him about more details about this thing, where did he get this, and what is General Khumalo specifically saying about me, other than what is presenting to me? Whether is the leadership aware about what General is saying about me? So he says. His response was, and I quote, "The minister is briefed. He has just arrived at Lusikisiki." So that's why I phoned the chief of staff to try and establish, because this person looks like he's very close to the Minister of Police, and he was traveling with him to Lusikisiki. And I guess the investigation is going to reveal whether did he really travel with him to Lusikisiki. And I guess with the investigation chair, we'll be able to establish the communication between this gentleman and the Minister of Police, if it's true or not, as is alleged to be in contact with the Minister of Police. So that's how this whole thing started. And subsequent to that, fast forward, I received an inquiry from a journalist about what transpired at Correctional Service. I must indicate, Honorable Chair, that I had explained myself into the middle of what transpired at Correctional Service, that the members that were deployed by the head office to go and look after the interest of one company in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, the company called Richards Bay Minerals. A whole entourage of South African Police Service members were deployed there. That myself, the district commissioner, could not control them, and nobody could ask them questions of what they're doing and what are they doing and how are they doing it. I was woken up on the phone call by the regional commissioner, who then phoned me and said, "I'm arresting the senior manager without telling me." So I was not aware of what senior manager was he talking about. And I asked, "Where is this?" He said, "Timbangini." I called the district commissioner, Major General Mkhwanazi, about this matter. He himself did not know anything. He then inquired from the police station. He discovered that, yes, indeed, there were these group of members that were deployed to RPM. And they moved out of their mandate, and they went and executed an operation of arresting a prison official. The prison official was the acting area commissioner at Kalagabusha prison, which is a facility that is sitting in the King Federal district of KwaZulu-Natal. I then engaged with the commander, this colonel who was in charge. I inquired from him what transpired. He then gave me a briefing of what took place. The chair, honorable members, this operation they conducted based on information they had on drugs, which I cannot dispute, they are police officers, they must act on information. The information they had was that there were drugs that were being sold at the house of this prison official at Kalagabush. They then went there without a search warrant. They went inside the premises, they searched the entire premises, they could not find anything. I must indicate, Chair, that this premises is a house that is within the facility of correctional services. It's one of the units of houses in that facility. And there are many other units in the same facility where the access into it is not restricted, not unless when you enter at the main gate to the correctional facility where you have security controls. But as you go into the houses, each house you can move in between one and another with ease. And after they failed to find anything inside the house, they went outside to search in the garage. But while they were going to the garage, they then noticed a dustbin which was outside the house. They stopped and they searched the dustbin. That is when they found a small parcel that was containing what is suspected to be drugs. Based on that, they decided to arrest that prison official. So the question I asked the colonel was, as an officer of law, first, do you know whether these things are drugs or not? Secondly, who else has been access to this dustbin other than this person we're talking about? Are you sure that this is the only person that could have placed those drugs if they are drugs? So my advice to him is that we are indebted with the number of civic claims we're having in the police. On 1, 2, we should not be seen to be violating the rights of individuals out there. Our purpose of arrest is because we want to secure people to come to court when we have investigated the cases and we know for a fact that this, what they were doing, has broken the law. So for now, you don't know what you have before you, whether it's drugs or not. Rather, take that to the laboratory, get it tested first. This is a senior person you're talking about. We don't expect it's going to be running anywhere. And then the register inquiry, and then you go and engage with the prosecution and determine whether should you effect an arrest, can the prosecution prosecute this person before you enter this person's name on the SCP-14, because the moment you do that, there's going to be a civil claim if you cannot prosecute successfully. And so, Chair, I must indicate that to date, the prosecution had declined to prosecute that matter because there was no evidence as to whether the person has done any wrong in what they were alleging to have arrested her for. So that's what had transpired. So my surprise is that that incident happened early in the year, last year. Only in September, 29 September, at the end of September as well as the beginning of October, I then get a call and the message is from this gentleman who said to me he's close to the minister. And he's got a copy of that OP entry, and he's got a copy of the letter that is written by that member, that colonel who was part of the operation. So that was the start of the troubles that came, which then had to be amplified in one way or another. And subsequent to that, this year, then the journalist asked me a question from City Press in writing. We responded to it. We gave the fact. But the City Press, we felt that because they were in a mission, the journalists might be in a mission to make sure that my name is tarnished out there. We went ahead and wrote about it. Despite the fact that his colleague learned about this thing a couple of months before, but he did not write because they had asked me, I gave my statement, so they didn't publish the story because they realized that it was just a smear campaign. But these journalists specifically went and wrote the story. The sad thing about it is there was no investigation done by the journalist. The journalist just took a person who says there's allegations against Mkhwanazi on this. He took Mkhwanazi's face, he put it in front of the newspaper, and he wrote the story. And that damaged my image to some degree. And as a result, there's some litigation that we are going to be pursuing with the newspaper concerned. Chair, when I spoke to the journalist in referring to what transpired after that, for instance, the stories that subsequently came, of which one of them that came recently was that I was in the front run of a post of TPCI. Honorable Chair and members, not because of arrogance or whatever, but I can safely tell you that I believe I'm the oldest or the longest serving lieutenant generals in the South African Police Service. And I'm in the highest notch of this level that I'm in. I cannot get any promotion beyond what I have now. So if anyone will feel that I was going to pursue any post beyond this, they are mistaken. I know there are colleagues that are eager for the posts that are going to be vacant. When I joined the South African Police Service, it was my resolve to face the criminals directly. That's why I joined the Public Order Police Unit. And from there, I moved to the Special Task Force. I never wanted to be a detective specifically because I wanted to be involved with the real action that is a combination of both investigation and combating in the main. So it has never been my interest to become a detective. So those that decided again, the very same newspaper or very same journalist or media houses, they then go and put my face out there as if I'm the person that wants to become DPCI head. I'll say in front of the public and to the colleagues that are within the South African Police Service who are interested to apply for the post that they must feel free that I will never submit my application for the post of DPCI. I remain here to see to it my contract is done, a contract that has got a year to go before it ends. And I'll do my job, and from there I'll go home and relax. Chair, what made me make a reference on what transpired in this time around to what happened back in 2011 is because, Honorable Chair, in 2011 I was appointed as the acting national commissioner. At the time, there was a matter of General Nhlanhla that was in the media. And as I said, crime intelligence was too much in the media at the time. There was a case of corruption against General Nhlanhla at the time. which was referred to the NPA, was in court. But there was no departmental matter initiated. So I initiated the departmental investigation in that regard. And General Bill was already on suspension when I was appointed acting. And after that, I then told Jarastanda, as I said, to make sure, who was a deputy national commissioner at the time, to make sure that departmental investigation is conducted General Nhlanhla, and also the person who was a direct responsible person for crime intelligence, and that was Lieutenant General Libya, who's now the head of Ops, to make sure that they facilitate the investigation in terms of disciplinary procedure on determining whether there's anything wrong in terms of our disciplinary code. Subsequent to that, Chair, the disciplinary report was ready to subject the matter for the disciplinary hearing. We then received a report from the National Director of Public Prosecution informing us that we must not withdraw, the case of General Mkhwanazi is withdrawn because the South African Police Service and the courts of the Republic had no jurisdiction to investigate the corruption matter of the Secret Service account. That was the responsibility of the Inspector General of Intelligence. So in order to test that, we then took the criminal case docket as well as the departmental case docket. We sent it to the Inspector General of Intelligence. And I know, Honorable Chair, is that perhaps that might have been one case that might have motivated or demotivated the Honorable Advocate Kona Barnard, because she was the one who was dealing with the case. And after the case was withdrawn, she left the NPA and she went to Parliament. We then, Chair, submitted these two documents to the Inspector General of Intelligence. The Inspector General of Intelligence responded to us on a departmental matter, because there were two officials involved, was General Mkhwanazi and Lazarus. She responded to us, and that was Advocate Radev, the late. She then said, there's no case against Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, departmental, but there is a case against General Lazarus, so we must proceed with General Lazarus. But then I said to her, I'm not going to implement that recommendation until she responds to me about the outcome or the comment that the NPA has taken, or decision the NPA has taken on the withdrawal of the case against General Mkhwanazi. I wanted to be clear about that. Almost a week later, Honorable Chair, the NPA, the Inspector General of Intelligence called me and said I must bring back the letter that recommended that Mkhwanazi should not be charged departmentally. I must bring it back because they've studied the case docket and they've realized that the NPA has erred in taking a decision that the police and the courts don't have jurisdiction in criminal matters. And then I then decided that beg your pardon, I said Advocate Bredenbach. I think I used the wrong name. Advocate Bredenbach, who was dealing with the case that is now working in Parliament. When the Inspector General of Intelligence gave us a letter that says the case docket must go back to court, which meant that the departmental matter must proceed, we sent the docket back to court. I personally called the acting National Director of Public Prosecution at the time, and she referred me to the advocate who initially took a decision, and that advocate was Advocate Mkhwanazi. And Advocate Mkhwanazi still wrote back to us, telling us that he has taken a decision to withdraw the case of Mkhwanazi, therefore the matter is closed. So that's how that case stopped, because of that decision, despite the fact that Inspector General of Intelligence already said that the NPA was wrong. Subsequent to that, Honorable Chair, we continued with the departmental matter as we were authorized to proceed. Subsequent to that, as I was driving home to KZN, I received a call from the same Advocate Radev, who was Inspector General, telling me that she has compromised her career. The recommendation that she gave me to prosecute Mkhwanazi was wrong. I must bring that letter back. I refused. The next thing, I got a call from the Minister of Police at the time, who was Mr. Mteto, to his house, where he instructed me that I must not charge Mkhwanazi, and because Inspector General of Intelligence decided that I should not charge me. And the Inspector General of Intelligence was present in that house. And she said, I gave an instruction of what to write. I disputed that, and I said it's a lie. But nonetheless, I told her that until I have something black and white that you are saying to me, I must not charge Aaron Mbulu, I will continue with the case. Well, of course, criminal, we can't do anything because the NPA had taken a decision, but departmental, we shall continue. And the Inspector General of Intelligence then invited me to a house where she brought back the letter initially that she had withdrawn that said Mkhwanazi is clean, he cannot be charged. And she brought the letter which she had filed and she gave it to me again that said, no, Mkhwanazi is clean. So as a result, the case must be withdrawn. Honorable Chair, what transpired after that, it's recorded. The advocate Bredenbach, General Libya, General Massimola himself, General Kumalo, who's now DPCI, myself, and many other police officers started facing difficulty after that. Especially, I can talk about those in the police. It is on history how General Libya was removed from the SCPS under the leadership of the National Commission at the time, General Pierre. We know how the paging and everything that was done. Myself, Honorable Chair, from the arrival of General Pierre as the head of the SCPS, I sat at home. She did not allocate many posts. She was happy to have me sitting at home for more than 12 months, not doing anything. And it didn't bother me. I feel, Chair, I had done enough. I've gone through some difficult trainings in my life that taught me how to endure. So I just sat there and I told them until they want to make use of me, I'll be available at home. So I enjoyed getting pension payers, taxpayers' money without being used. And to date, there was never investigation about my command at the time, General Pierre, with regard to that action. But I sat at home and doing nothing. And many people will tell their stories. General Kumalo will tell you, because General Kumalo became a bad person, especially as I had assigned him, Honorable Chair, to go to crime intelligence and work that counterintelligence office, where he uncovered shocking things, which today is still uncovering within crime intelligence. The National Commission at the time was a Deputy National Commissioner of Police. He was deployed by myself to go and work at crime intelligence as an acting divisional commissioner there. Himself, he knows the bad things that were happening at crime intelligence. So crime intelligence has always been in the bad light to date. And we know that the members that are working there, if they're not getting their ways, and if you want to tighten up the screws, you want to lock up the ease of access to the resources of intelligence, the only response they know is to go and tarnish your image in the public space. So, Chair, I don't want to be long, but I want to indicate that I've been there before, and we've been there before. That's why even to date, the National Commissioner, myself, General Kumalo, still regarded as the bad ones. It was no surprise, Honorable Chair and members, when I heard from the media asking me about the letter to withdraw the political task team. I just laughed it off because Section 207 gave me a mandate and responsibility to do policing in this province. Now, if there's an instruction that is going to interfere with operations of the South African Police Service, for me, it will be perceived as a defeating edge of justice. So therefore, I'll need to put very close attention on that. And because I wondered what could have informed. I found the National Commission was on leave at the time when the letter was written, allegedly, and he didn't know anything about it. But there was an instruction, and assumingly now we heard today that it was a directive because I had not received it as a provincial commission. When the provincial management had asked me about it, the provincial leadership executive, I told them that the political team is pretty much active and they're working, they're doing their work. And any other person who gave me instruction otherwise can go only the National Commissioner and nobody else but the National Commissioner of South African Police Service, because he's my boss. If he tells me I must change his policing tactics into something else, I shall do so as a disciplined police officer. But we've been working, Chair, and this task team have gone beyond the borders of KwaZulu-Natal, have gone to the Gauteng province. There's a case that they are assisting investigating in Gauteng. The case that involves very senior police officers, who some of them might be in this platform that you are in right now. And that is part of what is causing the chaos in the South African Police Service. So, Honorable Chair, I'm going to leave it there. And that is basically why I was making a reference on what is transpiring now to that what happened in 2011, where bad police officers are using politicians to try and get their ways around. So that is my submission, Chair. Thanks so much.